This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded July 7th, 2014. Episode 206, with guest Martin Lorton. Variegated, video, Vagility.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
And this is Martin Lorton from Solar Power and Electronic Measurement Equipment.
I did not know that's the name of your blog. Yeah.
In that quaint South African accent.
Yes. Transplant to Cleveland. He's stuck here, folks, and I have him in my basement now, but he's not tied up or anything, so it's cool.
Thanks to Dave Jones.
We're actually talking for the first time. We haven't spoken before. We've emailed.
We have emailed, and this is the first time. It's hard to believe, actually.
Yeah.
And the first time I made contact with you, I think, was at the end of 2000. It was literally as you were starting to go full time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was one of those millions of emails you got, Dave.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You sent me a very curt, short response.
Oh, I did? Sorry about that.
You almost killed my career in video.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Did I killed your enthusiasm, did I?
No, you didn't.
Dave, give me some advice. Good luck.
Yeah. I hate doing that, you know. It's like people email me with all this enthusiasm, and I've got to these days I usually send a form email back, you know, saying sorry, you know, I can't, you know, or respond. I just have to do a short, terse reply because, well, you know.
Yep.
Because he's so busy doing so many important things.
I can't spend an hour replying enthusiastically to an email, and I will. Like, you know, I that's the thing. I'll get carried away and reply enthusiastically and spend an hour writing an email reply. So, yeah.
I have to say, we need to get more in-studio guests, because right now I've been able to be rolling my eyes to Martin as you've been saying all this stuff about how important you are. Yeah. This is great. It's great.
Dave, next year, you can be invited to the basement too.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. We have a spider web with your name on it, ready to hit you in the face when you least expect it.
Terrific.
So, Martin, we should probably get a little bit of background knowledge for all of the listeners who might not know you yet. We have mentioned you a couple times on the Amp Hour, but
who am I?
Yeah, who are you?
Who am I?
Yes.
Right. So, basically,
I was born in Cape Town, South Africa.
I wasn't actually.
No, he was UK
My
guy.
parents were.
Yeah.
No, well, I was born in the UK because obviously being here in the States, that's the one thing people pick up on very quickly. And the one problem with my accent here in Cleveland in particular, I don't know whether it's because Cleveland's a little closed off from the rest of the world, but I have when I go into shops, I have old ladies grabbing my hand and say, please, just say something more.
That's great.
But yeah, so basically born in the UK, parents immigrated to South Africa when I was 6 months old. So brought up in South Africa, but I've been back and worked in the UK and traveled around Europe. So the accent is a bit of a mixed up hybrid. And I do get mistaken for being Australian from time to time.
Oh, no.
Can you,
Yes.
Scary stuff.
That's almost as bad as a Canadian being mistaken for a Yankee.
Yes.
They find it so offensive.
I was saying an Aussie getting confused for a Kiwi or vice versa.
Yeah, Kiwi, yeah, same thing.
That'll get you punched in the schnoz,
yeah. Oh, boy.
But yeah, basically, so I started my career. I did study electronics when I left school, but I didn't finish my electronics at college because I realized it was in the early 90s and there's a bit of a recession. So I decided at that point in time I wanted to go into computers and IT.
Oh, so everyone else.
Like everyone else at the time, yeah. And so I did that for 20 years. So 20 years contracting in IT, basically ended up working for EDS, Electronic Data Systems.
Hang on,
Perot's
1990, yeah. 93, 94 is 20 years ago. Holy crap.
Yeah, I started
Sorry,
in
I just...
91, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I mean,
Wow.
I sit back and go, what? 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, I watched
Yeah.
Wayne's World the other night, and it was like, oh, shit, that was made 23 years ago. Like,
Oh, no way.
yeah.
Time flies
Party
when you're
time.
fun, Yeah.
Arthritis time, excellent.
So
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, right. So basically, yeah, I dropped out of college from electronics, started doing IT, did that for 20 years. EDS were bought out by HP literally when I was here in the States for the first time. So we ended up here in the States because my wife works for an accounting company, and so they brought it over here on secondment. I came along, but I telecommuted. I continued my job for EDS /
Oh,
HP.
okay.
Yeah, while I was here the first time. So we arrived here in 2008, and we stayed until the end of 2010.
And your company allowed you to do that? Was that common in the company, or was that a special thing they allowed for you?
Well, I worked supporting BP's server infrastructure initially as technical, and then worked on bringing new business into EDS from BP. So BP, for instance, said they needed a new server farm in Europe or the States, because we looked after, basically because the bean counters were saving money. South Africa was a cheap point for labor. So we were So we were supporting basically Southern Africa, Europe, and the States for BP, their Windows 80 infrastructure. So I was doing technical support, and then I moved into kind of supporting the salespeople and helping with contracts and scoping deals and what have you. That's what I ended off doing, and that's what I was doing when we ended up here. And we also had because we were doing that work, we had a lot of staff who used to work remotely anyway, from home or what have you. So when I said I was going to leave, they said, okay, well, are you willing to telecommute? And I said, yep. And of course, it made it easy for me because I didn't have to come find a job here in the US.
Of course.
And I just continued. But the really cool thing about that move was that the South African day ended at lunchtime in the States. So, I mean, I would get up at maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, sign on, do work. But my day ended at about midday. And if I didn't have any projects to do, classic. So if I didn't have any projects to do, that was it. I had the rest of the day. And that's what got me to start doing the YouTube channel that I run. So basically, I started messing around with solar power. I'd always been intrigued by solar power, and I started playing around with small projects. I thought, let me just share what I'm doing on YouTube. And that's how I started off, because I had the time while we're here initially.
Yep.
And you didn't know me yet, so I was.
I
didn't. I was actually back here then. I moved back in 2008 too, so we could have crossed paths at some point unknowingly.
There you go. But then, we went back to South Africa. The secondment ended, and literally 4 months after being back, so in about April 2011, I, along with at least 100 others, were laid off because our jobs were sent off to India.
Right.
Yeah.
Cheaper yet again than South Africa.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
NBA playbook keeps repeating history, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was without work. And to be in my position, without going into real politics or what have you, but my position in South Africa at that time, my age and what have you, to find a job was difficult. So I tried, we're doing project kind of solar power work for people, and I tried, I did a bit of consulting. I did a little bit of IT consulting, and then I consulted a bit of consulting job for a guy, an inventor, who is inventing a gas machine.
Inventor. Be afraid when they call themselves an inventor.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you see, naive. No experience in that arena, totally naive, thinking, cool, it was all exciting. They paid me for the first bit of work, and I did a whole lot of work just before Christmas in 2011, and they didn't pay me for the final bit of work.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, same here.
And I was just like, no way. I'm just not going to go through this. Working for billing, invoicing, and not being paid. I wasn't used to that. 20 years of contracting, you got paid on time. I wasn't being paid. So literally, that's when I heard about people making money doing YouTube stuff. And as I'd kind of because I was unemployed at the time and doing only this odd work up until then, I kind of increased the number of videos I did and saw it growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me into it. Eventually, what happened was the agents for Fluke Southern Africa approached me. They'd seen my video, the video with the Fluke 287, where the light entering the IR port in the top makes it switch off when it's in data logging mode. And I posted a video on that. And they had somehow obviously picked up on that in a few other videos. And that literally brought them to my front door. And that's when I decided, after I hadn't been paid, and they came to my front door and said, hey, we'll give you equipment. Because obviously up until that point in time, I was pulling money out of my own pocket to buy kit.
Of course, yeah.
And they said, no, we'll loan you kit to produce videos. And that's when it took off, basically. And I started my channel full-time in December of 2011.
So you're getting paid in gear.
I wasn't actually. So I was being loaned gear. And I mean, this is where, after the fact, you kind of realize how naive you are in those beginning days. And you realize, when a sponsor, you kind of, over time, you learn when a sponsor is like buttering you up and when they're not and what have you. Mm-hmm. And I did, but anyway, I didn't have a choice. I was small. I was doing videos. I was very happy to have expensive loan equipment, which I could use to produce videos. They eventually did give me a piece of kit, which I appreciated, but I really had to go to the ends of the world to get that piece of kit. But that's what got me going, basically. And I started doing what I said to them was, and it's fun. At that point in time, their marketing people, I said to them, look, if you can give me this multimeter, I'm going to start a series on multimeter tutorials. And I almost had to talk them into it. You'd think they'd be
That's crazy. Yeah, that's just madness.
I don't know whether you've bumped your head against that as well, but I mean, I had to talk them into it. And that video, which I produced now, has gained so many hits for them, and of course their name's in it. I mean, they're laughing.
Oh, of course.
But we live and learn. And it's basically just progressed.
And that sort of embedded advertising is worth a fortune.
Yes.
If they actually went to the commercial players and had to get those sort of views embedded in a video, it would cost that you'd be shocked. It'd be a year's salary.
And
right?
and that's what Chris and I were literally discussing before we started recording is, trying to understand your value to a company. And, when you just talk about them, what have you, you don't realize the value, how much it actually costs to go outside of what we're doing.
Well, especially when you're genuine and you give a crap, right? That's the other thing. I think that I don't think you can really buy that, right? I mean, Dave, you said a full year's salary, but even still, it's got to be pretty top notch for it to be someone who's actually cares about it and is interested in it, and it has to be good gear for people like you both to care about it as well. So that, but
it's the thing is how much money these companies will traditionally give to all the big players, the big let's not name names, but all the big online. Oh, we can.
People can use their imaginations, I'm sure.
All those kind of, right.
Dave could tell
all the big
whatever.
online, all your traditional magazines, and which are now transitioned to the web, and all those online places. We've posted figures on this before, and it is shocking. It is obscene how much money they spend for so little hits in the end. So channels like us are a bargain, even at inflated prices.
Yes, I mean I realise that.
Now I realise that, right?
But I mean, even literally a month ago, and I won't mention the brand, but I mean they sent me some equipment. I did a review on it. It was a new release of some equipment, and I mean I'm still relatively, in terms of the ratio of active subscribers that I've got, my channel is not that big. But when I look at, I will get at the moment, and we're obviously in a bit of a dip because we're in summer. The States is on holiday, so the views dip off during this time. But in a week I'll get, let's say, between 3,000 to 5,000 hits on the video, and obviously that's what they got for the little review that I did on their equipment. But yet on their own YouTube branded channel, where in a week I have let's say 5,000 to 6,000 hits, they had 300 hits.
That's a lot for some of those channels too.
Yeah.
Some of them get like 50, 10, 20. It's been there for a month and it's got 50 views,
Yeah.
Right. Well, and they publish a lot of stuff too. I mean, I look at it from more I keep an eye on like the TI channel, right? And there's some I've seen some videos where it seems like they spend a lot of money, like, and good money, it's good content too, but it's just, it doesn't necessarily resonate, and people don't necessarily want to watch it because it's very, very targeted versus more broad appeal type stuff where you guys, Martin and Dave, you both have an audience that's kind of subsisting with you, right? I mean, it's kind of always there. So, but that's valuable, right? I mean, it's a weird times.
The difference is nobody's going to subscribe. Nobody's going to watch a TV channel just full of ads. Right?
Yeah.
Or sort of, right? That's just not going to happen. It's not compelling viewing, and that's kind of what the manufacturers' sites are. Their web channels are.
Right?
Their YouTube channels. They're pretty much infomercials.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of great technical content on there as well, but people don't. Then that's what they're not going to subscribe because all that's buried in all the other hundreds of promo videos, for products.
Yeah. And it's also focused. I mean, if you're watching one of their brand channels, you're only looking at their brand. Where if you're looking at, the few of us who are making kind of technical videos, we're talking about across the range, and we're doing comparisons, and that's the big thing I think is being comparative.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started off, I mean, I know you've far more hard-nosed about this, Dave, than certainly when I started off. But the one we're talking about, the challenges of having sponsors on channels and how hard it is to deal with them. I'm very fortunate at this point in time that my interaction with my sponsor is minimal. I've been very fortunate. But I literally, when they came on, I realized that I'd had enough of the way sponsors were treating me. So I literally held my head up and said, actually, no, I don't want you on board. I don't want any sponsors.
Right.
And they pled. So I literally laid down the law, and it's been hands off. But I know with my first sponsor, they literally said they did not want their equipment, any other equipment in sight of their equipment when I did the review.
That's not surprising. Yep.
Yeah.
And you've got to tell them, bugger off.
But obviously, when I was starting out, I kind of didn't have the option. I mean, I was looking at like 10s, 50, 100 views, if I was lucky when I was starting out. And I literally, when I wanted to do a comparative review, I literally emailed them and said, do you mind if I... And of course, now it's like, forget it. You're not getting that. In fact, it's like when people approach, and I mean, you obviously realize as well that when people approach and say, oh, we're going to send you this equipment, and there's an expectation that it's going to come back. I'm like, no. It's too much hassle for me to go back down to the post office to post it back to you. It's not happening. If it's a one-way trip, or don't send it. Yeah. Basically.
I mean, I get loan gear. I mean, I still, like, I'm about to ship back, that source measure unit, that shmoo.
Oh, you are? Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah.
Every lab should have a source measure unit.
I know.
I was gloating over mine to Martin here.
No, I can appreciate. I mean, there's obviously some bits of kit which is expensive. What happens? People want it back.
Yeah.
But
it's not that expensive for them. Come on. I know. I've seen prices. These equipment makers, they're making 60% margin. It's no surprise.
Easy.
Like they can afford it. But whatever.
Yep.
I'm just surprised that you guys continue to do this stuff. That's what I'm always amazed at. Dave, you've always done those. And I think, Martin, you're still doing a lot of DMM type stuff as well. But, I don't know. You guys are almost like card collectors, right? You're like, you have this, and it seems like, it seems like both of your forums as well, they're oh, well, we got to check out the specs, got to compare this one to that one. Oh, what's the RBI? Yeah. What's the RBI percentage? What's the ERA? It's like, I don't give a shit, guys. I mean, that's me personally. I just want it to work. Right. And I want it, I don't care.
You're not a test equipment freak.
I'm not, and I don't care about specs until I run into the wall of another one, or I'm like, it's got to be the accuracy spec that I'm running into.
That's the difference.
Yeah, and so Martin, where did this come from for you? How did this sickness start?
Do you know, probably by sheer accident, because when I started off doing videos on solar, I realized the audience for solar was so small that my channel would grow at a very slow rate, or just I would struggle in the early days when solar wasn't taking off that big. And I happened to, because I was playing around with some solar equipment, I went and bought the Fluke 287. And I realized what a potent... I was like, bloody hell, this is a nice piece of kit. And it does all these weird and wonderful things. It can data log and graph and what have you. And that's when I realized, hey, I dig this. And that's when I wanted more, and I wanted to see more. And that's when the bug... That's when it bit. Yep. But what I also realized, and this is where kind of Dave comes into the picture as well, and this is probably how I found Dave's channel, started watching Dave's videos.
Right, recommended views and stuff, yeah.
But you were obviously doing oscilloscope and multimeter reviews early on, and I realized obviously the audience range you're going to capture if you're doing test equipment reviews versus solar power is far larger than your purely solar power.
So this is a business move on your part.
No, definitely. I realized if I was going to make this work, that solar power wasn't going to cut it then. It's a different story now.
Definitely.
But at that point in time, that was the way to broaden my audience. But it's a double-edged sword, because basically what I ended up doing was then doing a whole range of things, which were my interests. For instance, there's obviously a bit of ham radio, there's multimeters, there's oscilloscopes, there's tutorials,
graphing calculators. That was the interesting one to me.
Okay, but that's on another channel, so that's another can of worms. But I mean, I know Dave's got a second channel, and I treated mine as an experimentation, because if I really had free will, I know there are other topics which I could grab a far broader range if I was just purely after viewing numbers and what have you.
Yeah,
but that's how the test equipment came on board, and
see, that's totally opposite for me. I've always had the test equipment fetish, so I don't chase views there. I do it because I love testing.
Yeah, well, you were arbitraging stuff anyways for profit as well, right? You were buying stuff on eBay and finding stuff.
I was buying and selling test gear on eBay just as a hobby, because I just enjoy getting new test gear, either restoring it or whatever, having to play around with it, opening it up, and then reselling it. That was one of my hobbies for a long time, and all this stems from the before the internet, when I was a boy. All of the electronics magazines, which was the only place that you got your info, right?
Yes.
There'll be all the ads were all test gear, so you'd lust after all this test gear, and that was your entire world, And
it's
and
like the Ferrari of our world, right? It's the
yes, exactly. And
so you're like a muscle car kind of guy, right? That's what you are, and I'm like a Toyota Camry kind of guy, right? And I'm just as long as it gets me from here to there.
You buy a tool to do the job, and that's it. Whereas,
the other thing
for you, it's a means to an end. Yeah. For me, test gear can be an end unto itself.
Yes,
it's both. It can be both.
I don't know, man. So like sitting around. So I've worked at a test equipment manufacturer, and like, I had the shittiest gear there. I mean, I bought stuff from China. Because we didn't have budget, and I used stuff that was never calibrated. I had 7.5 digit meters that were probably operating on 3.5 digits, because you do what you need to do. That's why I don't get it. Like, so Martin, you've gotten into this too. You have what's the 74 the
3458.
3458. So Martin has a friggin' 8.5 digit meter. Why did you buy that?
Because it's beautiful. If you want,
it is beautiful.
I know. Beautiful. And the beauty is that technology. That's the other thing, is that technology came back from when? That is
80s,
from like
80s,
90s,
late 80s, yeah.
So to have a piece of test equipment which still stands as a kind of benchmark piece of kit today, I had to have it. And I mean, I know there's
it will be mine. It will be mine.
I mean, you can imagine. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap.
I know.
It cost a lot of money. So I was literally sweating when I was over that kind of eBay buy now button. I was going to purchase it.
Oh.
Yeah, looking over your shoulder. Is the wife there? Is she watching? Is she watching? Yeah. And the irony of that, of course, is that one of the main engineers for that actually lives in Cleveland now and works at Keithley. Yes. And so maybe we'll have to have him on at some point as well. Yeah. If we can get him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't get it, though. I still, like, I've been around this stuff all the time.
No, but you see, that's probably your problem. You see, you've been around it. You've got the knowledge. For me, I don't. I love an opportunity to learn something new. I mean, I wouldn't be doing if I was going to do my channel on something that I actually knew something about, because my knowledge in what I'm doing is very minimal, I'd be doing it on something like cycling or what have you. But literally, I do it because I'm just intrigued. So I'm intrigued to know, so what happens if I want to monitor, does the shelf life of a 9-volt battery? And then that opens up a can of worms, because when you've got something that precise and is measuring down to that many digits, well, you see, you've lost. You stuck there
There's so many better things to do.
No.
I don't know.
It's just beautiful and fascinating.
Yeah,
It really
it is fascinating, but I feel like I'm losing the nerd test here, right? I mean,
You are.
You totally.
my nerd cred is just slipping down the drain, and well, Martin rules Cleveland for that. That's for sure. He outdoes me. But actually, that's a really interesting point, too. So from that beginner perspective, and that's another thing we want to talk to you about as well, like the fact that you're not necessarily you haven't been doing electronics straight for 20 years like Dave has, but how does that end up affecting, your videos and how you approach this stuff?
My goodness, it's a challenge. I basically...
you advertise that fact, right? That's sort of your slogan. Is we learn with you. Is that kind of your slogan?
It's basically I state that I'm a kind of a novice and a hobbyist. But so therein lies a challenge, and the problem is. And the big challenge of doing this literally, so I had jumped into this for the sake of to keep a roof over the head and to put food on the table. I mean, that's literally why I needed to find something, because I couldn't find work, and how I got into it. I did out of interest because I saw a gap in terms of the videos on YouTube for, let's say, how to use a multimeter. I saw a gap and thought the videos which are out there don't really explain it really well, especially for someone who's a real novice. And I think what the problem in technology, IT and electronics, is that there's a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge and know it all, and they either have big heads and an ego and don't know how to put it across.
You're talking to one of them.
Well, see, I'd probably have a real problem doing such an ultra basic video like this is a multimeter. You turn the switch this ohm. This symbol is called the ohm symbol.
Correct.
And I don't know.
No, that's not
would
for you,
probably
Dave.
fail dismally at that. So that's why you won't see it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's obviously where I step in and pick up, and it's probably also from my industry experience. IT people love. In IT especially, kind of keeping the knowledge to themselves and keeping secrets and hiding it away.
What is that? The not super users. What do they call themselves? The admin. That's like the admin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so basically, I mean, that's where I came from, was a point realizing that, but there are people out there who have very little or no knowledge, and they find the kind of highfalutin other videos and people, the way they speak, very intimidating, and they get switched off. And that's where I thought, no, I can explain this so that they can understand it, and it's in a friendly way, and that's kind of what I do. And at the end of the day, you don't need a huge amount of knowledge to do that, which is where I come from as a kind of novice. But basically, I'm there because I'm just intrigued and want to learn myself. But therein lies a challenge with me and my channel and what I'm doing. And that there's an expectation from the viewership, because a lot of people obviously don't read the blurb on the front page about who I am and what I am.
And they're just like, they don't.
Why haven't you got this microcontroller controlling this and that and that? I'm not, and I don't have the time that even a normal hobbyist would have to kind of learn their trade and play and enjoy what they're doing, because as you know, Dave, and I mean, you obviously plow a lot of time into this. It takes a lot to produce a video, to run a forum.
Absolutely.
My forum is nothing like yours.
Oh, yeah, forums and dealing with advertisers and emails. And,
it just consumes the day. The day is gone.
Absolutely gone, yeah.
So for me, and then the problem is that, so for me to produce the videos which I know are going to help people, I need to learn it myself, and you need time to do that, and you need undivided attention to do that, which is, there's not much of that, especially when there's a family.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I can because I know from the video production and running a full-time channel, but on top of that, you've got to learn the stuff as well. That is super difficult.
Yeah, no, that's the challenge for me, is obviously the time to learn and try hopefully get it across as best I can and as correctly as I can. And fortunately, I'd say, 85-90% of my audience totally respect that and understand that. But of course, you've got that small percent who just they're not happy with that and they want something else. And as I say to them, if you're not happy, quite happily unsubscribe and go somewhere else. You're not going to hurt my
heaven
feelings.
forbid if you make a mistake.
I know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Get something wrong in a video. Ooh.
But yeah, that's the challenge. But it's funny because the other challenge is obviously moving to a new country. You're trying to set up home. You're initially renting, then you break down your lab, you buy a home. All the challenges that go with migrating to the States. The States is not an easy place to come to because there's a lot of admin and paperwork. So, basically we just got on top of that, I'd say, just before the spring storm started, and I had the issues with my basement.
Oh, yeah.
And so for the last 3 weeks, I've been literally head down trying to sort out my basement. So, yeah.
Ouch.
Such is life.
Now, you were full-time when you made this move to the US, right?
Yeah.
This sort of permanent... Is it permanent? It's a permanent move, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Green card in process is in the works.
Okay. So, permanent move. So, but you decided... America!
Yeah. Oh, Dave, you got to do
Land
it,
of the free, home of the brave.
Come on, do it again. Do it that we at the end of the... If people hadn't heard at the end of last week's video, or audio, rather... United States of America. That's what it was,
United States of America. America. USA. Anyway, my question was, you were full-time when you made this move, and you decided to go to the basement. You decided to build your lab into a basement instead of what I'm doing in an office business park, actually getting a separate space. Why, and what are the pros and cons?
Look, obviously coming to a new country, finances are a challenge. For me to go out and even forget about buying a space, renting a space.
Right, renting's expensive there in Cleveland? I thought they were a dime a dozen.
The price of a VCR.
Yeah, it depends.
But that's it.
I think it's more hassle factor. That's one part of it.
Yeah, look, I can write it off to obviously finances and whatever. That certainly is one part of it. But hassle factor, literally, what a laugh. I slide down the banister to make sure my daughter is dressed and ready to go off to school. A school bus comes and collects her, so I'm very fortunate. I walk out the door and I walk down the sidewalk a little bit, and off she goes. And then I slide down another set of stairs and I'm in my workspace. And the beauty is that if there's anything that needs doing around the home, because my wife works, she's out in the office and she works fairly long hours, so at least I'm there. It's very convenient. I wouldn't, if I was traveling, I laugh. I'm in the middle of this power supply project and someone tongue-in-cheek said to me, oh, you need to be managed, you need to be told when you can have lunch and get in the work and just get it done. And I'm like, lunch? I don't have wasted time commuting. Right. If I take a lunch, it's a very quick lunch. So it's that convenience of being right there in the home. And literally, so when the daughter comes home, I know by literally 4:30, that's it. I've got to be done, dusted, because then there's homework to be done. My wife and I alternate. There's a couple of days a week I do the homework, and then otherwise I'll go cycling to keep my sanity. But yes, bloody convenient being down in the basement.
Convenience, yeah.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is that in Australia, it seems like you don't have as much room there, Dave, just because the real estate's so expensive. Obviously you bought a space, but, buying a larger space for your house then probably wouldn't be worth the cost. Whereas around here,
no, a larger space for a house. No, it's not like we can go buy a bigger. Well, we could go buy a bigger house, but financially, it would be a huge move. And that is one. Martin's right. That's one of the things I miss about having my lab out in the garage. There, it's probably the only thing I miss. Is the convenience. You know, because if I'm editing a video and I goof something up or I forgot something, I can just dash like 2 seconds back out the door, even if it's in my pajamas. I can go out back in the lab and just actually record another 10-second clip and then insert it into the video. I can't do that now, you know. Although, no, it's different now, but for the last 2 years I've been here, I would shoot the video here, and then I'd take my SD card home. I'd literally pull the SD card out, take it home and edit there. And, you know, I rarely had the luxury to come back and reshoot something or add an extra clip. So the video was, you know, it's turned out how it turned out. Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah, the
but
only
now
downside...
I flip that on the head.
The only downside is if you have to go back into the garage, is if you happen to have changed throughout the day. I have run into that where it's like, oh crap, what shirt was I wearing when I recorded? Yes. You have to throw that back on
continuity.
In order to continuity. Yeah, exactly. It's like there's people that do that in movies where they're like, oh crap, was someone holding the coffee cup when that shot ended? Yeah, you have to do that kind of stuff at that point. But
I have floated the idea of moving back. You know, like talking to the wife. Okay, let's get a bigger house, and I can build a purpose-designed, you know, lab/workshop out the back, right?
Yeah,
recording studio, and then I thought this would be well received, right? Because I'd be home more often. She complains that I don't spend enough time with her. Right? And so I thought this would be received well. Right. And it turns out no, because then she would never see me because I'd always be out in my man cave, you know.
Yeah, I get that one now too. Yeah.
Right.
No, can't win.
So no, you can't win either way. It's So basically, the take-home to all the viewers out there: don't get married. If you want to be productive.
I'm so sending this to Mrs. EEV blog. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Oh dear.
But okay,
so I can't win.
No, you can't. You're not supposed to, mate. So Dave, you've crossed an interesting one there. And I have to ask you. So. At this point in time, how long do you see yourself doing? How long do you do EV blog for? Do you see an end to it, or is there something after EV blog?
That's a common question, and it's not. I don't really think about it, to be honest. It's not one of those things. As long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing,
you'll continue.
You know, I'm going to continue to do it, and it's even though I do work my ass off. There, you know, as long hours as you know, doing stuff like this and maintaining the whole, you know, channel and thing, and everything that goes with it. It's a lot of hours, but like ultimately, it's incredibly flexible. I enjoy it, and now it's you know, it's quite frankly, it's paying quite well, and I wouldn't go back to, you know, I'm making a decent living out of it. Why would I?
I want to ask Martin the same thing now because I have to know when I'm going to have to go to his house and knock on his door and be like, "What the hell, man? What are you doing? Switching over to cycling full time?" So what, Martin? Same question back at you. I mean, are you going to do this for the long term, or? I mean, you're progressing. I mean, I think you're progressing from you know, novice to intermediate as well. You know, you're moving up in that space as well. So it's interesting.
I mean, there's obviously a good potential growth path in terms of me growing my knowledge and doing more and more and more for what viewers want to see. I've kind of I've got a couple of projects which I'd also like to do, which would potentially consume me full time. And so it's also a case of, while this is enjoyable and is working, what have you, I'll go along with it. These potential projects which could come along could potentially wind up being video material as well.
Right, yeah.
But, I play it by ear, again, as long as I'm enjoying it. But the challenge for me, I just also want to get to a point where since I've started the channel, I've only had distraction, whether it's like just starting out and trying to get the channel off the ground, changing continents and moving to a new place, buying a house,
a bit of a distraction,
basement.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, like in the next year, I can actually just settle down and get into a normal role and routine and go, cool, this is working. Because you pick up a lot of flack along the way from people because people don't respect that you've got a life and things happen in life. But
yep.
Yeah, as long as it's good, I'll stick at it. But I do have some other challenges and goals in life which need to be. I need to get to.
Well, that's good too. It's good to have stuff to work towards.
Because this is essentially my hobby. Like, even if I won, $10 million tomorrow, right?
Ooh.
You'd probably still see me doing this.
Yes.
Probably not as.
Well, at least Dave would be flying us out. Dave would be flying Martin and me back out to Australia to hang out for a little while. At least, right? First class all the way. But past that.
But I would still do it because it's my hobby. See, that's the thing. I started this as a hobby. It's still my hobby, so I can't see myself ever stopping it from a hobby point of view. So. I think it's always going to be there because I've been publishing. Because I still see this as publishing stuff, right? It's publishing material, just like I published my magazine projects back when I was a teenager. And I've been doing for 20 plus years or something. It's something I'm going to continue to do, just because I find it enjoyable. Whether or not I'm doing it as a career, in 10 years' time, I don't know. But what I do know is that I do know the power of a brand. Well, I do know now the power of a brand and the power of having a name and a large audience. It gives you flexibility to, to move out into many different things.
Yes.
So to throw that away, I don't understand anyone who would build up an audience and then throw it away.
Yes. Yeah.
That is just wow. I can't picture myself ever doing that. So I'm always going to keep my hand in, and keep that audience sort of viable.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, well, there's the whole 1,000 Truth Fans type idea, right? So people don't know that. It's basically, it's an idea that if an artist, not calling Dave an artist, of course, but...
bullshit artist,
yeah, bullshit. Oh, man. He can spin a yarn with the best of them. No, but basically the idea, I forget who posted it originally, but the idea was basically if you have 1,000 fans... And, basically you could crap in a bucket and, enough of them would pay for it. That's probably a really bad way to say it. But basically, whatever you're going to put out into the world, assuming it's good, not crapping in a bucket, basically, you have fans that are there that are going to help support you. And that's what Dave's talking about with, having people that are interested in your life. And I think that's what both Martin, you and Dave have. You have people that are interested in what you're doing and the projects you're working on and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. People like us as personalities because we're in front of the camera. There are other YouTubers out there who are, you never know them. You wouldn't, if you bumped into them on the street, you just wouldn't know them.
Well, that's the corporate problem too, right? In fact,
you might not even know their real name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they don't have, they can't go off and do something else and go, hey, this is me. A lot of people just won't follow you. But if people know you as a person, then they will follow you.
Yeah.
So, or a decent percentage will. So, if I went and formed another channel doing something entirely different, then, at least a percentage are going to follow me.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting point because when I started out doing my videos, I was always behind the camera. I never put myself in front of the camera. I probably, and what I again, perhaps a little naive or just trying to understand audience and what have you, because I was literally at that point in time desperate just to make a career and earn money. I mean, that was a desperation at that point in time. Was I realized obviously a larger percentage of my audience was male, and I'd also been following some good techie IT female video bloggers. And obviously there you've got the combination of a nice, pretty face that you're looking at who... as long as they know what they're talking about, is a really good, powerful combination. And because they create a personality and everything, and it's something nice to look at, and they're talking about something you're interested in. So I thought, and that's what I looked for, and thought I'd bring in
Hey, I'm a handsome guy. I'll be in front of the camera.
Martin's getting a sex change. Yep, okay, well.
No, I advertised
Ms. Lorton.
I advertised for a female presenter.
Oh, I think you told me about that,
right.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the videos are still on my
Really?
channel where I literally have,
Right.
I introduce this lass who's I was going to have kind of present the videos and what have you, because I thought that would be a good draw card. But I soon realized...
So you're going to, hire someone or what?
No, I
What
did.
was
I
the-
did.
Oh, really?
Literally,
You're like an
yeah.
actress, right?
I literally, I
Oh, she was an
advertised.
actress, was she?
She was a veterinarian. She repped veterinarian products and what have you.
Oh, okay, like a sales rep.
Yeah, so she was a sales rep, but
Ah.
she'd been on TV a couple of times, and so she knew how to put herself across, and she looked good in front of the camera. So it was a fluke that I found her, and she was really, really good. But the challenge was when I tried to do the first video, I wrote out a script. And of course, that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, here we
It's
go.
becoming like all those things we talked about, right? The
Correct,
vendors
yeah.
making these videos that no one wants to watch, yeah.
Yeah. So you try. This is a girl who technology is not her arena. Now you're trying to give the poor girl a script, and she's trying to go through it and talk about what's going to happen over the next year on the channel. Oh my goodness, failure. And when I actually put myself in front of the camera and asked my audience, I said, "Look, there's this good lass. She's gonna. What would you prefer? Shall I have her on another channel doing other stuff?" And the resounding response was, "No, Martin. We want you in front of the camera." Because
Yep.
we want to watch you. And I was quite shocked by that.
See, I think part of this is that us as technically minded people as well, we forget the whole human aspect, and it's like human beings want stories,
Yeah.
right? That's one big thing, and human beings want to relate to other human beings.
Yeah.
Those are the two big things, and yeah, you were trying to go around that, and I think
Yes, I didn't want to put myself in front of the camera at that point in time. I was trying to find a clever way around it, which I thought was a clever way around it.
Right.
Obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
And probably that's where I started to see my channel grow, actually, was when I put myself in the camera and started
Yep.
doing tutorials and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, and that's when it took off.
yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me because you've got a very pleasant on-screen personality, whereas
I can-
I'm sort of,
Yeah, I was
quite
gonna say I could
harsh
listen.
and,
I could listen
you
to Martin talk all day long. I mean,
Yeah,
Dave,
exactly,
Dave
totally.
gets annoying after like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's the Aussie squeak. It's no good. I'm kidding, Dave. You know I love you.
He makes up for it in personality.
He does.
eh?
And,
right.
and
I
rage.
make up for it enthusiasm.
And rage.
I lack all talent, and the only thing I got going for me is enthusiasm. That's what I always say.
So-
Now you
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
go on, Chris.
Oh, I was going to ask about solar because this crazy South African decided to move to Cleveland, and then he's also deciding to do solar experiments,
Yeah.
which we didn't mention last week, so I didn't want to bring that up because what the hell are you thinking?
What? Now, believe it or not,
Also, I watched your solar video from back in South Africa, and that setup you had back there was friggin' awesome.
yeah, we see the interesting thing is that South Africa, because of that, we've only got one energy supply, creates its own challenges, and you kind of learn a lot if you try and install a household solar system in South Africa because there's so many challenges you have to get around. But so to answer your question about the weather in Cleveland and solar, Germany just recently
50%.
over 50% of their power
Wow.
at one point was supplied by solar
Right.
in a country where their solar irradiation is remarkably low.
Right. Sunny days is less the norm.
So
right?
you can't go on the fact because actually your peak power is going to be put out here in Cleveland in the middle of winter on a nice clear day where it's like 0 degrees and you've got a bit of haze in the air because it disperses the light. So you get dispersed light, cooling of the panels. That's when you're going to
Cooling
get your
of the panels makes it more efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was watching your video, and that I did not realize that. I've never looked at like the equations or anything like that. I didn't realize that the cooler stuff actually did help the output.
That's huge.
And you said in your 22, so you said a 2.2 kilowatt setup. You said you on a cool day with cloud cover to disperse or haze to disperse the light.
Right.
You said you get 2.6 kilowatts versus 2.1 on a sunny day.
Yeah.
Which was really
Nice.
Yeah.
confusing to me.
Yes, I mean, and that's what kind of got me into blogging about this on YouTube, because I was taken aback when I started playing. I started doing that here in Cleveland initially before I started. Cleveland started it.
At least we're not Detroit.
But no, it's amazing. So you don't have to. And I mean, the next thing is obviously people worry about shading and if you've got shade and that kind of thing. And so the next thing I'm doing is going to obviously install solar power on the house here in Cleveland. I know that it'll perform well in winter as long as snow ain't covering the panels. But shading, we have trees, as a lot of neighborhoods
here. So Martin toward my house as well.
There are trees all around the place. And that up until now has been a challenge. But the technologies which are being released right now allow you to get around that. And so that's the next. And again, I just see, that's what blows my mind about sharing things on YouTube, is that no one else really is divulging that to a lot of people. The companies even trying to sell this equipment don't really put it across that well. And
right, so, you think you'd want to open up other markets, right? And
it's just to make people aware who are into this or being deluded by there's some really bumf marketing about what solar panels can and can't do, and there is a lot of BS out there.
You know, I saw a thing the other day, just kind of like the database type of stuff, like data-based decision making. It was actually from the guy that runs the Google X Lab, the Astro Teller. He wrote a book about marriage, right? Marriage and divorce, which is weird, right? It's very non sequitur here, but it was all based on the idea that like him and his wife wrote it, and they wrote it based on not on like these stories, like the stories that it's based on actual hard data about what works and what doesn't. So it's the same kind of thing where like with solar panels, what works and what doesn't, actually having that stuff out there and actually explaining it based on the data versus, oh, well, I heard that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then the book's called Sacred Cows instead of Sacred Vows. I'm not sure why, but I thought it was interesting.
Oh, that's great.
Since Dave says to never get married. So you are going to install stuff here though. So what is that what does that mean for Cleveland? Like, is that like, are there even installers in Cleveland?
Good question. I actually haven't looked to see, but I mean there are. I mean, you go down to the Science Center down on the lakefront. They've got a big wind turbine and a whole lot of solar panels providing a fair amount of their power. Yeah. There's another wind turbine along the high. So I mean, it's happening.
My God! There's one. Yeah, Lincoln Electric. This is actually up where I used to work at ABB. There's Lincoln Electric, which is the welding company. They installed a 5 or 6 megawatt turbine. I think it was. It is absolutely massive, and I almost crash my car every time I drive by it because it is the coolest thing. It's like 3 friggin' I don't even know how big they are. They're probably like 170 feet or something like that. I mean, like they're really big. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's probably one of my frustrations in life is that and I'm gonna pick here in the States in particular. I mean, energy is a huge issue here in the States, and it is just consumed. I always use the example when we're in a condo. We have this. You had this. You call it a vanity. I just say bathroom mirror.
Yeah, with like the lights above
right, and the lights above, and they're literally 11 incandescent 60-watt globes above this mirror.
Yeah.
And I used to think perhaps I'm living in like an ex-showbiz condo or something, but it's not. You go to other people's homes, and it was almost a norm. So it's the efficiency and just radical use of power and energy here in the States, and the lack of using alternatives or realizing your own home. I mean, and Dave, you obviously, that's my next, I'll kick it back to you afterwards, because I mean, you've got solar, but I mean, each of us we've mostly got enough roof space and property to generate a large part, if not all, of our energy requirements if you're energy efficient. So,
absolutely.
I mean, how's your system working out? Do you monitor
my
it?
system? The data's up on a website. It's not live, like I upload it every couple of weeks, but yeah, you can see all of my daily output graphs and all that sort of stuff if I remember to upload it. But yeah, all the data's up there. Anyway, it's been up there for a year, and roughly we have exported more to the grid than we've used.
Brilliant.
And that's after we've actually consumed it during the day. Because we've got what's called a net meter. So so that if we use energy during the day, then we use it and we don't extract anything from the grid, and then any excess goes back out to the grid. And it turns out, we've almost exported as much as we've used from the grid.
That's brilliant.
Over a year.
That's brilliant.
So, we're essentially, as far as as far as doing our bit goes, we basically generate all our own power.
Brilliant.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it works. Yep. So it's great.
Yeah. And that's basic. I mean, and I've been talking about projects after YouTube and what I'm doing. I mean, but that's what I'd be intrigued to do, is do a really big project experiment showing that basically you can account for a lot of your needs, whether it's water, your sewerage, your power generation, what have you. You can do a lot of that within your own space.
Oh, totally.
When you see what we waste, it's scary. I mean, it's funny. I'm split in two halves. I'm drawn to solar because I'm a geek about it. To me, I'm fascinated in thinking that light can produce electricity.
It's very efficient. And just, it's like, why not? Why aren't we harnessing this? Yeah.
So so in that regard, I'm not a tree hugger. I'm just geeked out by that the fact that you can do that. But then the other half is also there saying, bloody hell, we are chewing away energy, especially here in the States, and I just see the viability of it. So it's nice. It's a nice balance, because I'm not gravitating towards solar because I think, oh my goodness, the end of the planet.
And all that,
I'm geeked out by it, but I also see that we could be far more efficient, and there's a good side to it.
Got it. Did you know that here in Australia, 10% of homes now have solar panels?
Heavens!
Are now solar. Yes, 10%. We have 10 million homes, roughly 10 million homes here in this country, and over 1 million of them now have solar panels.
That is incredible. Yep. So obviously there's some backing to make that happen.
There was huge government backing about 5 years ago, and it just went gangbusters. Okay. It went crazy.
So what freaked me out there was you used the word was.
Yeah,
they basically cancelled it. Yeah.
And that's happening everywhere. It's always a was.
Yeah, well, granted, it was a ridiculous feed-in tariff. It was 60 cents feed-in tariff.
Germany was 70 cents per feed-in tariff as well.
It was.
Okay.
Yes, it was a gold rush.
And they basically couldn't afford it. Yeah. It was a gold rush. The government put it in, and they just had to shut it down because so many people were signing up. It was basically free. You would get a free solar system.
It's when you combine policy and technology, right? There's always a problem, right? Yeah. Anytime that happens,
the balance is quite
broadband is another big one, right? I mean, that's always the same problem.
But you see, that's a sad thing, that you kind of need to strike the healthy balance, because new people are not going to opt in. It's great, you've got 10%, but then does it stagnate at 10%?
Yeah, right. We'll make it to 20, 30, 40.
That's right.
Is it going to grow? And that's a challenge here as well. I'm setting my system up not to feed into the grid, because at the moment, as far as I can tell, the electric company here isn't going to buy it back. And there's there's a whole lot of red tape.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to do it.
Right.
So they don't make it. They don't make it easy at the moment. So.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem. Here, here every energy company will buy your energy back. It won't I'm getting 8 cents, right? I'm selling it back at 8 cents. So it really doesn't pay for itself if we're not home. If we're using no energy during the day, then it's not a very it's a very long payback period.
Yeah.
Right, but because we're both often home during the day. We do use a lot of, and we changed our habits to use a lot of energy during the day. We can really make use of it.
Well, but if you had an EV as well, you'd also store in those, right? That's another thing.
If I had an EV, it'd be charging at home during the day.
And because gas prices are going up so much, or petrol prices are going up so much, that would also offset it. Yeah.
And as you said, the popularity dies off, but now solar panels are so cheap. right? Whereas 5, 6, 7 years ago when they started this scheme, right, solar panels were ridiculously expensive, so you needed to have it subsidised for people to, take it up kind of thing. But now, solar panels are so dirt cheap from China. It's just crazy. I paid a lot. I paid a real premium for my system. I bought like top brand panels, a top brand inverter, and it probably cost double what I could buy a similar size system for using all, cheap Chinese components kind of thing. But yeah, systems are cheap here.
Well, and Martin, you said you're going to compare a lot of those, right? You said you're going to buy a couple different types of panels.
That's what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm saying to Dave, I mean, don't ding the fact that you've actually paid good money for a good system, because no, because you soon realise there is a difference. There is a difference.
Yeah, oh yes, that I knew that. So especially on the inverter side of things, I don't want to buy a cheap. If there's a $1,000 inverter and there's a $200 inverter, there's a reason why it costs $200. Yeah. Right, is because the power transistors in there are, they got them from the, rejects from the shop floor, and the capacitors are crap, and no, don't want to go there. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, leading to what you're asking, I mean, what I'm hoping to do is, for one, and it's what I said in the last video, is just don't buy cheap, because these things, if you're going to get your return on investment, it needs to last 10 to 20 years, depending on
10 to 20 years, yeah, of course. That's right. And they probably can, right?
Yes.
You can probably get 20 years out of decent brand solar panels.
Yep.
Maybe not 20 years out of your inverter. That might be asking a bit.
Well, so that's a fascinating thing. See, that's what I want to prove, because at the moment, the guys who are producing the micro inverters and the big name brands who have only been on the market for, let's say, 3, max 5 years, are giving 20, 25 year.
They are they? Wow.
Like warranties?
Okay.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, how do you do that?
That's if they're still in business.
You hope no one files a claim, or if they do, you're no longer around. Yeah.
So that's one of the things I want to do, is to bring in cheapy stuff, the more expensive stuff.
You do some Arrhenius equation. You're going to put them in an oven and bake them out, or what?
That's exactly the thing to do, because that's the biggest enemy, obviously, is heat.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work to do a video like that.
Yeah. That's not a lot of work, man. That's a full-time job. That's being a test lab,
that's a full-time job.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Totally.
That's fun. That's fun. No, I mean,
you would want to get, for channel value out of that, video value, you would want to get a dozen videos out of that. Yeah. And there's nothing worse than working on something for a month and getting one video out the end of it.
I could just see Martin posting now, "Hello, chaps, another video of my inverter in the oven. Enjoy."
Bye.
It's long term. It ain't going to happen over a month, that's for sure.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Wow. So Martin, speaking of power, I wanted to ask you about this, because another thing we talked about the beginner side of things. You are jumping back into a lot of these projects as well, and I thought that our audience as well. Our audience is pretty diverse as well. We have people that are software that are getting back into hardware. A lot of IT people are getting back into hardware as well. And many experienced hardware people. But you're going back into this power supply project. Our friend across the pond here is also working on a power supply project, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But I'm interested from your perspective of, of kind of getting back in the electronic side of things, just how that process has been for you, and how you find, the available resources, and how you've been dealing with building a power supply project.
Especially publicly.
Especially publicly.
Dave, I remember watching your 2 hour, was it 2 or 3 hour video that you did with answering questions and what have you.
Questions, yeah.
Where people in particular go and ask about your USB power supply project. And you talk about the challenges of doing it with a camera and the public watching you. And that is the biggest challenge.
Excuse me, I'd like to say I've done this. I've done this for friggin' 6 months now, so it can be done, folks. Sometimes you need to get paid for it, but I have many great members.
Yeah, but yours is a pay-in private audience.
Hey, I'm just saying that it got done. It got done.
Yeah,
so
there's a difference.
It's 6 months worth, so it can be done, folks. Of the one thing I have done around here.
Okay,
and I love
so
my
you
CE
had the same
members.
experience as me. So you had the same experience as me.
It's a challenge. I mean, I'm doing it again. I'm coming from very little experience in electronics, and I'm trying to learn along the way. But I mean, that for me, that's the beauty and the challenge of it. I'm keen. I mean, it's like when you're in school and you have to do geography and you have to do science. Do you really want to sit there in the geography class and do it? No, you don't. When I was at Tech studying electronics, we did this project. The design was handed to us. You had to do the PCB and all that and get the routing done. And at that point in time, I think XTs had just come out and you had just had the auto routing and that kind of thing happening. But there wasn't the kind of real lust and intrigue to understand exactly how it all worked and hung together. And now I am intrigued to see how it all hangs together, because I can see the options that go beyond this power supply project as well. Yeah. So, I mean, there are the challenges. Again, it comes down to time and what people want delivered in a certain space of time. And I've kind of now committed myself. To me, this is the monkey on the back. There's some. It seriously is the monkey on the back, and I have to get it done, and I have to get it out there. I'm fortunate. I've got people who email when they see the video and they see the challenges. They email me. They go, Martin, here we go. Here are the stages, and so I've got a lot of help from the audience, which I really appreciate. I obviously just need to bang my head on the bench and just see my way through it. But once I do, I'll be really chuffed. Yeah. I mean, it's like when I did the electronic DC load, and that, of course, Dave Jones is original. There's more trouble. But I mean,
that quick little video, and I like on the world's simplest circuit with a transistor and a bloody op amp, and people think it's.
But isn't that the weirdest thing?
The whole cottage industry.
Correct. But I mean, I just did because I was struggling for time, and I had to get some videos out. I was doing my basement, and I sat in our dining room. At our dining room table, and I did a video on connecting electrical wires. And I did it because I'm building. I've got a secret project that I'm building for my own entertainment and sanity offline of doing it on YouTube. But I needed to extend a PowerPoint, an outlet, I should say. I keep on tripping over the American terms and realizing I have to kind of relate. People talk about them here, but
you need the electric code book.
But all I needed to do was join two electrical cables together. And here in the States, they use these wire nuts that you.
Oh, they suck. Yeah,
and they do. Yeah. They totally suck. It boggles my mind.
We can wire our own stuff here, Dave, because it's 120.
It is scary.
Right. Okay.
Oh, it's fine. 120 tickles.
But they're supposed to stay together, and you've got this little wires wrapped together with a wire nut around it. And I found a product on Amazon, which again, because I'm not an electrician, I thought was quite cool and unique, and I tried it. It was a push-in wire connector by, was it Wago, I think, is a company. And I just did a simple video demonstrating it. My goodness, people like the comments and the discussion. It suddenly, and I'm thinking, this is just joining electrical wiring. But it's important to a lot of people, obviously, and you just don't realize at the time.
Bike shedding. That's bike shedding, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's that?
Bike shedding. We've talked about that on the show before. Where a lot of people have stuff to say about stuff you don't care about. So when you have a nuclear reactor, you don't care about the. You bring up the technical specifications of the reactor. Nobody has any comments. But you bring up the color of the bike shed out back.
Oh, the color.
Yeah,
right.
And everybody has an opinion, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the difference there.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of use of that particular technique as well. Not to be, I mean, like that. I don't mean to say that the bike shedding phenomenon means that it's not useful to people.
Yeah. But that's where a simple little concept where you don't even think it's going to go anywhere. I was interested. I thought it might appeal to a few people.
Yeah.
And like Dave's little electronic DC load. I mean, hello, bang!
Yeah.
It suddenly spawns a whole lot of views. A whole lot of. I mean, heavens. So I mean, that was so. My power supply is like that. I did a whole series of videos trying to build an electronic DC load and understand. Because although Dave did try to explain it, talking up here at a certain level. And
he's holding his hand up by his head, right?
You can't see, Dave.
I can see this, but no one else can. Yeah, of course. This is radio, Martin.
I'm taking the piss a little bit, Dave.
He's used to video.
But I, from watching that video, I thought, I'm sure there's a lot of people, and I didn't fully understand how every single piece worked. And I wanted to understand it. Right. So I went through the process of banging my head, making mistakes.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people appreciated that. And it's going to be the same with a power supply.
Yeah.
Except there are some impatient people who just want it now. But
yeah. Well, you should point them over to Dave, though. I mean, that's you're totally right about that. And I think the other thing about a lot of this stuff too. Actually, there was this book that I got when I started contextual electronics. There was this book called Teaching Adults, and actually the guy wrote in there, and maybe I've mentioned on the show before, but basically the guy wrote. He said, if you are an expert and you're trying to teach beginners, you are already at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because you cannot empathize, you cannot understand why it's such a problem to understand these concepts, right, that you've internalized. Mm-hmm. Not only that, I think about it, and I think about how many times that it's gotten to the point where as soon as you know what the term is, the terminology, right, you don't know... You need to know what the term is so that you can Google for it. Until you have that term, you can't even friggin' Google for it. And then you're totally out in the woods, and you have no way to possibly find what you need. But once you have it, okay, now there's all of these resources. I can go and read them. I don't need to be told what to do. I can go and do this research myself and make those connections myself. Because, one of the things that I've learned throughout my learning and also through teaching, it's like, no matter what you try and do, people need to make that connection for themselves. It's just about the perspective that you give them from your, as you're doing it, that really can help them along.
Yeah. And that's why I also, in particular with my Arduino videos and a lot of my videos, the value comes from not that I'm actually trying to teach you something, I'm showing you hopefully a concept. Not everything is there for you to put it all together. You have to go away and do something yourself. Yeah. And that's where the viewer ends up learning a lot. Right. And I didn't actually realize that up front when I do my videos. But when I started doing the Arduino, I started realizing I couldn't show everyone every single bit and piece. But I could show them how to get into it and the concepts and what potentially you could do. And it was a case of, see the potential, here are some tools, now go away yourself and grow. And that is where people learn.
Yep.
Giving it to them on a spoon doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
And guess what? I can't do that anyway because I don't have the knowledge. So I am at an advantage, so yeah.
Surprise!
My big problem with that...
Right now, I'll figure it out, I'll come back.
My problem with that power supply project was that I wasn't trying to teach people how to design a power supply. I was just sort of documenting my little hobby project, which I was working on.
Yeah.
And that was the problem, because with these hobby projects, anyone who's ever worked on their own project knows, well, you're just going to suddenly change your mind and change direction. And that was the confusing part. I'd suddenly go, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want that anymore. I'm going to make it battery powered. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it'd just chop and change all the time. And people thought I was...
Right. I need step by step.
Crazy person.
I need to see everything. Right. Teach me. And I think...
Yeah, teach me. And then...
I think a lot of that is based on the education system as well. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. We were talking about just like how engineering learning happens and stuff like that. And how do you encourage people to be engineers? And it's like, so much of the educational process is follow step 1, step 2, step 3. And
route learning. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the hard part is getting people to say, there are no steps. Just go be curious and go figure it out. And you got to teach that somehow. And I told her, I was like, you figure out how to teach someone to love that and to be curious and to want to go and learn it for themselves. And man, you not only will become rich and famous yourself, you will also fix the world, right? I mean, because it's not just engineering, really. It's any educational thing. You need to be curious. And I think that, like Martin and Dave, you guys are both, you're both genuinely curious, and that's what draws people to you. I think that's Because why else do people watch, right? I mean, like, it's not like
you're not pretty.
Yeah, certainly not my
you
charming
guys are friggin'
personality.
ugly, and you got these weird ass accents. You don't sound like Americans, and I don't know. But no, I think that's really good. I think the tough part, and I'm sure Martin sees this as well. I mean, Dave, maybe you less so, but like, it's tough to kind of put yourself out there and be like, well, this didn't work, but I'm going to post it anyways, right? Showing the failure steps is it's kind of critical, and it's annoying, and you get complaints about it. But man, like, I don't know how else to show people. It's like, shit, this didn't work. What are we going to do now, right? Failure is okay. Let's backtrack. Let's learn from it. Let's learn again. And like, that is the essence of engineering, is failure and regrouping. And I mean, like, what do you do when you do you tape the failure? Do you show the failure?
Well, yes, often that happens, but also what happens is I don't realize I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm a novice and I'm learning, and I do it on camera, and that's the big sometimes challenge of what I'm doing. So there are a lot of people who appreciate that, and over time people come in and helpfully go, "Oh, Martin, watch out! Perhaps this is the right way of doing it." And I'm always open to the people who will steer me in the right direction. It's just the way they do it.
Yeah.
But you obviously get the people out there who just jump off the deep end and go totally berserk. But I mean, you could go, "Oh my goodness, that was a total atrocity, pull the video, whatever," and I don't.
Yeah, right.
I say sod it. No, it'll stay up there.
Yeah, I rarely do that.
Yeah. It has to, as I've said, it has to be a total, I'm leading people down to basically totally kill themselves or something totally atrocious.
Right.
But I'll follow up with it like I've done before. I'll follow up with a video and go, "No, look, what I did, I either do annotations, or I say, look at the comments."
Yep.
And then I'll do a follow-up and say, "Look, this is where I went wrong and why." And I've had people who have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, and they'll email me and go, "Martin, you know what? I used to do exactly what you were doing all my career." And now I know. So if you pull the video...
That's awesome.
Yeah, but because they realize that was the wrong way of doing it, and there's obviously people who've got a far better, wiser way, or the way it should be done.
Yeah.
And just people take it for, "Oh no, it's worked all this time. I've never had a mishap. It's worked, so it must be fine."
Can you give an example? Like what are you talking about specifically?
So, one in particular was literally soldering or splicing two electrical wires together.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So I was doing it where typically I wanted to have a plug extended or something, cut the wires straight next to each other, solder right next to each other. You can obviously wrap insulation or heat shrink them, so in theory they're going to be isolated, but you've still got the joints right next to each other. And if you happen to have, let's say, a sharp piece of solder or something like that, you could have it short.
Yeah.
So you should set them apart. You should have them adjacent.
So
stagger them.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. You know, something simple like that. But all my life, before the channel,
Yeah.
I mean,
Of
that's
course.
what I do.
Flush cutter. Right? Of course.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
And then through that, people learn. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And I don't know how to like. So like, I think what it ultimately brings up is like a discussion of like, video is an imperfect medium, but it's kind of the best we have. It's trying to replicate, but there's still a fixed frame, and it's like we're trying to basically replicate like an apprenticeship, right? Or even as you're learning, right? There's people in front of you, there's people in behind you, right? And how do you capture the essence of this, right? And actually make it viable? Because the best case scenario is, if I was an absolute beginner and you were teaching me, I'd be sitting right next to you. Right, I would be seeing all this stuff, and I'd be sitting there, and there'd be a grind to it. Right, that's another problem. Is that I'd be sitting there not for a 20-minute video or 40-minute video. I'd be sitting there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Right, and I'd be sitting there as you struggle, and I would be struggling as well. And no one wants to do that, right? And how do you try and compress that? And also,
everyone wants a spoon fed.
Exactly right, and
to them.
And so, how do you kind of trip that balance between the need for backtracking and lessons learned through, just grinding it out, and then also, trying to dilute it and get some lessons so you keep people interested. And man, again, if you figure that out,
do you know? I think in a way you have kind of got that figured out in what you're doing.
I don't think I do. I had a 2-hour video. I had a 2-hour layout video. It was terrible.
No, but you see what you've got to focus. You talking about there's sometimes a very specific audience or group who are open to that in the way you're teaching.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I often, I used to have these kind of goals and challenges of reaching a certain number of subscribers on my channel and what have you. And I've gone way past that. And right now, I'd almost say the opposite. I would almost prefer to have a smaller audience who are, I get tired of the people who are just there who just throw the stupid comments and who try to chop things down and what have you. There are a core group of people who appreciate the way you teach.
Yeah.
They are open to that way of learning. Not everyone is open to the way I teach or what have you.
Right.
So why not focus on those core people who it's adding value and what have you? How do you do that? How do you filter that?
Right. Well, I think it's paying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think honestly that's what it comes down to, and it's it's kind of shitty, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to exclude people based on that.
No, correct. You don't.
But pay is a filter.
It is a filter.
It's a filter that filters out the people who just, the idiots, so to speak.
Right, and I tried application stuff too, right? For my beta program, I tried applications, right? So I had people, apply and fill out forms, and I tried that, and out of the 30 that I chose, out of about 200 or 300, out of the 30, maybe 5 showed up, right? So even that's not good either, and it's... Yeah, so it's always a numbers game.
Yes, no, it is a numbers game, and it's always a challenge. But because I sit and think, if someone, let's say you reduce your audience to 10%, 1% of your audience, and then if someone wants to hurl abuse at you while they're paying for it, well then fine, you're paying to hurl abuse at me.
Yeah.
Because
fine, I'll happily listen to that. Just give me your money.
Yeah. I was obviously quoting a few things people have said to me in the past. The one about me when I dared take a vacation and kind of not notify my audience. But
how dare you?
How dare I? But the one was someone said that they got upset about either a video or something. I said, "Well, I'm cancelling my subscription," and I went, "Cancelling your subscription? Like, are you paying? Is this person paying to?" And
I know.
Please,
please do.
And I hate to come across that way because the majority of my audience are brilliant.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly.
They are understanding. They know where I am and what I'm doing. But you do get that small percent. The problem is a small percentage of a reasonably large number of people can just be a pain. Can just be a pain in the ass. Yeah.
Right.
If you've got 100,000 subscribers and 1% bitch all the time, that's a lot of people.
Correct. A lot of people. Yeah.
So that's when you do start thinking about filters and about exactly the way you've done it, Chris. Which is hats off to you and what you've done.
Well, we'll see if it keeps working.
What do you... I mean, your videos are very much like mine. You're probably the closest blogger to me in terms of doing long-form videos like I do.
So now Dave's going to try and kill you like Highlander and take your power.
Was that a conscious... Because you came into this more of a conscious decision, unlike me, who sort of just, did it for fun. Always did it for fun kind of thing. Did you deliberately make the choice to do long form videos?
I didn't.
Did you consider I've got to do the YouTube playbook, which is the 5-minute, 7-minute attention span?
No. So initially, when I started and when you started, Dave, we were limited to 10 minutes. Remember?
We were limited to 10 minutes.
Okay. So basically, so then it didn't come into. I mean, at that point in time, I wasn't monetized. I wasn't even thinking that I'd ever go into. I had a full-time job, so it was literally a side thing. When I started doing it full-time, I had no inkling or idea in terms of attention span or how to hold the audience, what have you. That was just the length of the videos because I wanted to explain things properly. I didn't want... But no, probably, consciously, I've watched other people do tutorials, and I'll give an example. There's a tutorial on how to use a multimeter, and you'll have seen it. It's like it says the best multimeter tutorial ever, and it's probably top of the Google.
Oh, that's Afrotech.
Correct.
Isn't it?
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Afrotech. It's like 5 minutes long.
5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I just realized that, when you watch that, you're just not getting the whole picture. Sometimes some people can be very effective, or it's just a topic or what you're talking about, you can put it across effectively in 5, 7, 10 minutes. But sometimes you need to talk through it and create a picture and
tell a story.
Yeah. And that's how you gain people and lead people through a path, and they go, and because that's what I've done with a lot of the long ones. And of course, they're going to be the people that bitch, but no, I've just naturally tended towards, I kind of haven't set a time limit. I do it and I go, shit, it's 45 minutes long.
Yeah, shit, that's a 50-minute video.
I would highly recommend that people hang out in a pub with Martin, and you'll find that you're sitting there 2 hours later, you're like, oh, wow, what have we been talking about? So it's pretty natural, I gotta say.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's endearing,
And it's less work. Ultimately, it's less work. To do a real polished 5 or 10 minute video.
Yeah.
It's less be work a lot more work.
Oh, I see.
Yes. No, we're lazy. Let's tell you what. I started doing 5 to 7 minute videos for a sponsor, and I thought, and they were paying. It wasn't for YouTube; it was for their own website.
It was,
and I thought this was going to be easy money. I was being paid relatively well for them. That 5, 7 minute video took the same time, if not longer, than one of my tutorials. It was a whole day to produce a 5-minute video.
That's not much. If you have to, I've had companies like that come to me, hey, can you produce a video for our channel? And this now I just flatly refuse. But back then, I was sort of struggling, and I thought, okay, I should do this. It's probably a good way to make income, And then I would actually quote them, and they'd look at the quote and they'd go, oh, this is ridiculous. Why does it cost so much? Well, it's probably going to take me 3 days to shoot this video at least, 3-4 days. You want me to set up tests and scenarios, and you want me to, build things and do, Right,
and that's why when we talked to Scott from Curious Adventure, he said the same thing. He said he took that friggin' soldering course, right? He took an entire 6-month soldering course to start doing these 5-minute soldering videos, which are more popular than the Daves, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah, because they're 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And mine are 40 minutes.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of work. To do a polished 5-10 minute video that delivers what it should do is a huge amount of work.
Yep. Because you have to think about stuff, not necessarily script it, but you'll have to reshoot it. You have to actually, after you've shot something, you have to review your material. How long did that take? Whereas me, and you're probably similar, Martin, you probably just hit record, talk, and then go on to the next segment. Don't even bother reviewing it.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Oh yes. No, I shoot the whole thing, and that's why I would never call myself a professional, because I literally, it's a case of...
Oh, no, me neither.
I shoot it to try and get it done, and then in editing, I've learned how, and you probably as well, Dave, when you start fluffing words, or you kind of suddenly have a mind blank, I stop and I know how to back myself up, so that in editing I can pick it up.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what I do. If I had to sit and review video and go, oh, well, I was looking the wrong way, or there's a shine in my eye, forget it.
No, exactly.
Right.
And ultimately, as you mentioned the word lazy before, and ultimately, we're probably not lazy, but it's just more efficient to make a video this way. They're not as polished, but it's more efficient. And you don't understand unless you're doing this full time and you have to continually produce hundreds of videos every year.
How much it takes.
You can't spend... and then that brings up probably the final question, because we've been going for an hour and a half. What, in terms of frequency of videos, is it better? This is a question for all YouTubers who want to do a full-time content creation thing. Is it better to do, less frequent polished videos and make them really good, or do more frequent sort of just slap together kind of,
interesting
videos?
Question.
And it totally depends. I've come to the conclusion it totally depends on your target market.
Yes.
If you're doing those science videos that are very popular now on YouTube, and they're such high quality, You know, if you've ever watched them, they're like 5-7 minutes long, and they're such high quality videos with so much animation and everything. They spend like 2 weeks shooting this one video, you know, and they've set a bar for themselves in terms of the quality of their content. So whereas I've personally set more of a bar for myself in frequency of content, there is a bit of bar there for quality, but frequency. Sort of, yeah.
For me, I mean, I started off when and this came down to a numbers game in terms of realizing I had to have an income and get numbers. It was a case of just, for the first 2 months when I started, it was a video per day. Because I realized,
that was tough. I don't know how you did that. That was...
So a video per day.
I was in awe of that.
A video per day, and then, it probably dropped off just before I came. It's like anywhere between 15 to 20 videos per month.
Which is still crazy.
Yeah. Which is totally crazy.
Which is still a lot, yeah.
And I have now got down to, fortunately, where I need to only produce 6 videos per month. And...
much to the chagrin of your audience, they send you notes.
Yes, yeah. No, some people whinge because they want more. But I've realised to deliver the content that my audience want, it's not a case of trying to produce a polished video. I think people are quite happy to put up with whatever I manage to throw together. I need learning time. Because I don't have 20 years of industry experience, I have to go and learn and discover for myself to put these videos together. I mean, like silly thing like the 555 timer, or even my first oscilloscope review. It took me an immense amount of time to do the research, because I can't go to tap a colleague. Am I doing this right? Or what?
I'm right here, man. Come on,
I'm flying all over the country, mate. You can't tap you on the shoulder. Yeah. But it's
true. We are 40 minutes apart too. It's about 40-minute drive between me and Martin. Yeah, so
exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy. I had an opportunity to do more videos for more income. And that fell away, and I thought, oh, that's a pity. And then I went, no. I'm quite happy to do less, have the time, and build my own knowledge. But I will, so to come back to the frequency, the one I was thinking about the other day, the one person who can get away with posting a video once every 6 months or 3 months, when you do a really good video, is someone like the gent who's doing the Signal Path.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh right, yeah.
Sorry, sure.
When he produces a video, it's because he's obviously got good academic background, and he just,
he's got a full-time job.
He's a teacher. That's he was a former teacher. That's what he does.
So when he does produce one, people stand up and go, "Oh, brilliant! Can't wait till the next one."
The engineer guy, right? That's another one. The engineer guy's back now too. He started doing videos again.
Okay,
that one. This is another one where it's he was only doing a video a month about. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a challenge, but I'm very happy not to be kind of on the line, having to feel I have to produce that number.
If I see the future, you asked about the future of how I see it. If anything, it's going to trend towards that. Yeah. Less videos, but possibly better videos. Yeah. Rather than like I from the business side of things, just managing and maintaining a channel and everything that goes along with it. We can't really produce a video a day. We can't make 7 videos a week. It's just.
And the problem, what I've
just don't have the time.
No, because what I've realized is the problem is you also want to try and keep up some kind of rapport with your viewers, which I really want to do as much as I mean, I've spoken this. You know it. If you're producing 20 videos a month, it's going to generate that much more conversation and things you have to come back to, and that's what I've realized. So if I can get by with producing fewer videos, because I'm growing my own knowledge in between time and hopefully coming back with the stuff that my viewers want to see, and there's also less commentary. I mean, it's great having comments. You don't want to stop that. But fortunately, I've realized that a lot of my videos are they're a stimulus for people to talk to each other. And I can jump in every now and then where need be.
Yep.
But if you're producing many more videos, you need to be in there. And of course, that's when things go awry. You kind of split your attention.
I think it's going to be really interesting, too. I've talked to Mr. Jones over here about, he said he might start, he might try KiCad. I might have convinced him. And then we'll have Mr. Beginner.
No, I was always
going to
give it a go.
One. It's going to be
Mr. Beginner.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. That'll be
except I'm not a beginner because I expect a CAD program to work a certain way. If it doesn't, I'm going to get really pissed off.
It will be fascinating because I've said and I've already committed I will try KiCad for my power supply project.
Yeah.
So from a total novice,
I think I will try it for my power supply project as well.
So from a novice, so you who've got Dave, you've obviously got experience and what have you. So it'll be a different end from your side, and from me because I've done what's ours? I keep on forgetting what's ours.
Oh, the Design Spark.
Design Spark.
Yeah.
I haven't used Eagle, but I thought what I want to do is I've done the first part in Design Spark. I'm going to try Eagle, and from a novice point of view, because I want to relay this to my viewers, is to go, guess what? This one is so easy to get into, but it's going to cut you short because it doesn't have this functionality. Whereas this one, if you put a little more effort into, you're going to be able to do this. Right. And that's where I want to.
That's great. Yeah. And those kind of comparisons are really, really popular. Because I've actually heard that exact thing is that a lot of people say, usually you see it on, I see it on like Reddit, people are like, oh, I tried KiCad. I hate it. And then someone says, well, why don't you try Design Spark? They come back, oh, yeah, I like that. It's free, but it's locked in. Yeah. Or try Upverter, try Eagle. There's always these trade-offs, but, having that beginner trade-off is just as important as Dave comparing it to Altium, right? I mean, there really is a lot of spread there.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. You guys complement each other well. It's
Hey.
And I am the great connector. I have brought us all together.
There's bandwidth enough for the two of us.
That's right, yeah. No Highlander scenario here, yeah?
Are there any other... There's no other full-time engineering bloggers, are there? I think we're it. As far as I know. In any form of engineering.
Well, no, I guess I was going to say Bill Hammock, the engineer guy, but... No,
he's he teaches, doesn't he? He's a professor.
Yeah, he's at University of Illinois. I think. What about photonic guy? Photonic, whatever his name.
Photonic induction. No, Andy. No, he's
still a power engineer. He was a power engineer. He's a power engineer.
He's a power engineer at some company. No, I'm sure he is still that.
There's a lot more space. Yeah. Because that's the other thing I've realized is that you kind of realize, I think in a lot of these spaces people think, oh heavens, Dave is going to be my competition, he's going to take views. I mean, I can't say I've only received views from Dave, but there is people who are looking for whether it's reviews on multimeters or how not to blow up my oscilloscope. Yeah. They're not just going to watch one video.
Right.
They want to get several points of view.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter. There's a lot of space for a lot of people to come in and give their point of view, and that's the beauty of where we are.
Right. The only thing worse in a marketplace is not having competition. The worst thing is having no competition. Because then you have to convince people that they should come into that marketplace, right? There's nothing worse than that. So, and actually,
and people like different things.
Yes.
Like some people are not going to like my approach; they're going to like Martin's approach, or vice versa. Or they're going to like Mike, or they're going to like Shahira, or they're going to like there's room, and there's countless little niches, not even little niches, but big niches there for your particular style of video.
I saw today, I posted on our subreddit as well, Jack Gansel started getting into oscilloscope reviews. The one and only.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually really good too. I mean, obviously
excellent.
We are a huge fan of Jack, and so he started posting videos, and he has a channel now, and it's highly recommended.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah.
He has a YouTube channel.
He just started it a month ago, and it's already it's top notch.
Classic.
So, he's got 20 years of speaking under his belt, right? Yeah. So translating to that's the thing that I had trouble with when I was getting on camera is like, if you're not used to speaking even to people versus a camera, that's really difficult. Mm-hmm. So, hats off to you guys for being good at that stuff. It takes a while, right? I mean, it takes it's a skill unto itself.
I had no idea. I turned on the camera and went, how am I supposed to act?
Right.
I don't know, and and that pretty much lasted for the first episode, and then I went, who cares? It's going to be me, exactly. Oh, I see his channel. Yes, Jack. It's
Gansel
very creatively titled Jack Gansel.
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Yep.
He's numbering them too. He's doing the numbering thing.
Good man. Well, hopefully people keep it up. Because, I mean, I've kind of tried to entice some of my viewers to get into it. And, like, some people have produced 1 or 2 videos. And I tell you, the videos they produced, brilliant quality in what they're doing. Because they're technical now and video production. But they obviously just don't have the time to keep it up, and that's it. It ends.
Consistency is the only thing that keeps this show going.
You need to keep it going out there.
Interestingly, he's getting more views than he has subscribers. So he's only got 360 subscribers. He's got his newsletter. So, they're all watching from that. Yep. Interesting.
Classic.
And as you said before, you mate, does photonic induction Andy do it full-time? I can pretty much tell you no, based on the views, because he just doesn't have the numbers. Even though he's got very big numbers, he still doesn't have enough numbers to make a full-time living just from the ads from YouTube. As Martin no doubt knows, you have to make money outside of the YouTube revenue as well. That's where the majority of it's going to come, unless you've got one of these popular science channels and every video gets 1 million views every week,
or your teenage,
then that's fine.
Or your teenage girl who can put a puppy up atop.
Yes, or you're a gamer, or you're one of those gamers who can just scream in.
PewDiePie. Hey guy.
What is he? Yeah, he's the world's biggest YouTuber.
Yes, they said
what is it?
$4 million a year. PewDiePie.
Oh, yeah, something like that. And he just screams and shouts as he's playing games and laughs and giggles, and that's it. And people watch him play games.
You guys are doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong in this.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah, I know. We're just dumbasses. Yeah, I know. trying to eke out a living to a niche audience.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to. Yep, I know. Fail.
So Martin, what is in? So we mentioned, long term. What's in the near term though? So you're working on your power supply. You have a wonderful meetup with a nice co-host on the meetup.
Yes, the meetup. So we do meetups, but in terms of the medium term, so there's obviously our meetups when you can make it.
Yep.
Good, Chris.
Yeah, right. We rescheduled this week because I'm going to Detroit next week for the event. Yeah.
But basically, there's a couple of monkeys I want to get off my back so I can get into kind of really exploring fun stuff. So the power supply project, I know people want to see the end of the electronics tutorial, so there's like inductors and transistors. I'm going to do after the power supply project is off my back, and then jump into my home installation of solar power.
Oh, nice. And
then get into the interesting stuff.
Cool.
So the tutorials will go into kind of then like digital electronics, so counters and registers and all that.
7.4 series logic, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be great.
But that's when I
was about to do a video on 7.4 series stuff, maybe today or tomorrow. Did you know it's the 50th anniversary?
No.
Of TTL?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was going to look through my old magazines like 50 years ago. I've got them right here beside me. I was going to look through them and see where I can find the first mention of TTL in these hobbyist magazines.
That's awesome.
I thought that'd be a nice side, like a nice, historical kind of.
It's crazy.
Thing. Yeah, 50 years ago.
So is that 64? 64 is the first time?
It's about 64, apparently, according to Wiki. The 5.4 series, so the 5400 series logic came out in 64. Wow. Yeah. Followed a couple of years later by the 7.4 series logic, which is the same, but it's at a lower temperature range.
Right.
Yeah.
So, 50 years.
Classic.
Happy birthday, TTL.
Right. That's great.
Can't wait.
Oh, goodness.
Well, Martin, you are welcome to my basement anytime.
Thank you. Good.
Hopefully I'm around. That'd be creepy otherwise. And as we mentioned, we do have a meetup here in Cleveland. If people are coming through Cleveland or if they live in Cleveland, they are, of course, always welcome to come and hang out.
And it's a good meetup because I must say, interesting folks come along. Yeah. I really enjoy the people who come along and actually just chat.
I'm going to have to start doing a meetup.
Says Dave for the fourth time. Yeah.
I know, for the fourth time.
Here's what we really need.
We need someone hard to vote in time.
We need someone in Australia
you know?
to really pick up on this and to set it up for Dave, and then Dave will show up as a celebrity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No. I just need one other person to show up.
Right. Exactly.
That'd be nice.
Well, the difference is, so me and Martin, we talked about this. So when Martin moved to Cleveland, we hung out, and we're like, oh, we should hang out again. And I said, well, why don't we hang out and also invite other people? And then worst case scenario, you and me are drinking beers, and we're just hanging out with each other, right? And that's the way to really view it.
Right.
Like you said, Dave, find one other person, hang out with them, and then if anyone else comes, it's a bonus.
Yep.
And in our case, we drink beer as well. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dave, it'll work.
Right.
For you, it'll work. But
I know.
Yeah.
Dave, you should go to a chocolate bar so that you can enjoy the chocolate. You don't enjoy the beer, so you should enjoy the chocolate or something. But
got it.
Yeah. And I highly recommend other people do this in other cities too. So we call our charged conversation. You can call it charged conversation anywhere. I don't care if that name is copied. That was actually a name that we had come up with for the AMP Hour in terms of stay current, which was our kind of tagline. It was going to be charged conversation, so we stole that for our meetup. So
excellent.
I recommend people steal it.
And it's a tax deduction.
And it's
gotta be
beer on a tax deduction. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's got to be.
It is.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Martin, once again,
thank you very much for joining us, Martin. It's been awesome.
My pleasure. It's
Finally
good to
caught up.
finally good to catch up with you, Dave. A good few emails back and forth, and certainly an inspiration for me getting into this and realizing it is doable. So thank you.
Except for my first email when apparently I killed all your enthusiasm.
You were frankly honest, and I appreciate it.
Oh, was it?
Yes, you were.
Oh.
Dave,
You're going to have to forward me this if you still
I
have
still
it.
have it. I'll forward it to you for history.
Yeah, I like this.
Awesome. Yes. What a bastard I am. I can see what a bastard I am.
No, I would literally, it went rounds of, I said, congratulations on actually going full time and hats off to you. Quite a brave thing to do. And I kind of said, well, I've lost my job and I'm going to start doing this full time. And you said, and you literally, there's 2 lines, you said basically, well, sorry, mate, to hear you've lost your job or got laid off. It's a very, just wish you good luck, but it's a hard job.
Oh, right. Oh, that's not too bad. It's not very prickish.
You're honest. And it's true.
Yeah.
It was all true. So, no, hats off to you.
Excellent.
Cool. Well,
Terrific.
Done.
Right.
Thank you, gents.
yeah, we look
Appreciate
forward to
that.
talking to you again.
Thanks, mate. See ya.